An important part of creating a learning strategy is figuring out what technology will enhance employee learning and development. And I use the word enhance intentionally because we can get all caught up in all the bells and whistles and the fancy things that we can use. But really, we want to get back to what's going to help our employees learn and apply their learning so they can change their behavior. Some of the questions you might be asking is, do we need an LMS, a learning management system? What's the difference between an LMS and an LXP, a learning management system and a learning experience platform? If your strategy includes e-learning in the future, what authoring tools should you be using? What technology could you add to your repertoire to enhance virtual training? And what else should you know about that you're maybe not even aware of? And technology is expensive, so considering what you need and when is an important part of a learning strategy. Often the first step is figuring out what's what. And to help with that, I like to use a analogy or an analogy. And I like to describe vehicles and a parking garage. So the vehicles are all the different learning assets that you have. Some of them might be more sophisticated, so maybe a Tesla or a Rolls Royce, and that would be an e-learning course, something really sophisticated that's a bit more costly to create. It could also be an in-person program that people register for. Maybe that's your Honda, kind of the steady ones that you always go back to, or a Toyota. And then you might have some really quick wins that you throw in there. So things that are employee generated that they create, or just even a checklist or some job aids. And so those might be your bicycles or your e-scooters or things like that. Regardless of the different learning assets that you have that all come together to support your employees' learning and development, they need to live somewhere, and that's the technology that I like to call the parking garage. So they all need to park somewhere so that somebody can access it. Now, oftentimes that is a learning management system, but it doesn't have to be. And it could be an intranet site that you can set up to be access only, or that you can set up on the back end, maybe with IT, so that you can do some basic tracking. There are also some really expensive learning management systems, and there are some lower cost ones as well. There are also many available for independent consultants to use that have an e-commerce element attached to them. So lots of options there, but mostly I wanted to share that analogy with you to just conceptualize or think about the different categories of technology that you want to consider when you're going down the path of creating a learning strategy for your organization and demonstrating the value that the learning function provides.